some of this year have been asked why there were no videos coming up and how long does it take. I spent my summer on island hopping and checked out all 7 of those East Frisian islands. You know, the beach on one side, elevators on the other side. If there is such thing like an elevator enthusiast's heaven, we do now know where to find it on Earth. On the other hand, the islands are not really a place of mass tourism like Mallorca. They are quite idyllic compared to such big places. We are now checking out the islands one after another. First the name, then how to get there, then I'll tell you about the island itself and the average elevators and architecture you can find there. Let's get started. We start with the easternmost island Wangerooge and go west until we reach Borkum. Wangerooge is a car-free environment just like most of the other islands, so if you travel by car you have to leave it at the mainland port in Haaleziel. Cars are not allowed on the island. Bicycles, however, are. The ferry to Wangerooge can only operate during high tide, so the timetable changes every day and there are many departures, just a few ones during winter and up to 4 departures during summer. The 2 passenger ferry boats operating are the MS Harlingerland and MS Wangerooge, but none of these have got elevators, just the mainland ferry terminal has got one. It is the only scenic elevator of all the island ferry infrastructure. Beside ferry boats, there were also some flights with small aircraft going to the island, but they are more expensive. They operate more often though and have a fixed timetable. If you don't bring your car, you can take the train to Sunde railway station and change to the so-called tidal bus. The timetable of this bus depends on the ferryboat departure. However, not all ferry departures are connected to a bus and there is no luggage service. It doesn't look like the bus is very successful. I have almost been alone when riding it. The bus, however, goes non-stop. Other buses connect to Esens once every hour. Now to the island itself. Once you reach the port of Wangerooge, there is an island railway connecting to the village. This amazing narrow gauge railway uses cars from the early 1990s and features shunting and manually open doors. Quite rare to see that nowadays. Notice there is no other public transport like buses. The village in Wangerooge is quite urban-like compared to the other islands. There were plenty of buildings with floors up to 4 or 5. These buildings are from the 1970s and 80s or newer. Of course, there are old classic buildings too. Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to spend, but I found several old elevators, like an old original generic and a 1976 built Thyssen. Next island to go is Spiekeroog, and despite the fact that it is not the smallest one, Spiekeroog's urban density is the lowest among all 7 islands. Furthermore, there are many trees. Spiekeroog is a very idyllic place. You can reach Spiekeroog by ferry from Neuharlingersiel. Cars are not allowed, and if you want to ride a bicycle, you need to bring it by yourself, as there is no bike rental on the island. Well, you can still rent a few bikes from private though. The ferry can only operate during high tide and the timetable changes from day to day, but it seems to have higher tolerances compared to the Wangerooge ferry. There are sometimes up to 5 departures each day. However, during winter there were just 1 to 3. Still better than the Wangerooge ferry. There are 3 boats, none of them has got an elevator, but the ferry terminal does. It's just a single Osme elevator though. You can reach Neuharlingersiel port by bus from Esens railway station. As soon as you reach the island, you might notice the long path to walk towards the village. There is no island railway going there, and compared to the other island, it's quite a walk, but still doable. The architecture on the island is mostly old, quite small and idyllic. This building here dates back to the 17th or 18th century. I just know about 3 elevators on the island and I filmed 2. None of them is older than 2000. I think that explains what sort of place Spieker Oak really is. A beautiful, idyllic place. The village doesn't reach to the beach, so you have to walk for some time to go there. Therefore, the beach is quite natural. There is one attraction describing the idyllic feel of Spieker Oak like no other. The horse railway. There used to be an island railway before the port has been moved, and a section of the old railway track is now used as a heritage horse railway. The heritage service started in 1981 and it still exists today, which is just really amazing. There is one departure every hour during the summer period. Now we go to Langeoog. This island does have a better ferry service than the neighbor islands, as the ferry can operate at any tide. There is one departure every 2 hours. The 2 boats do not have elevators. Sometimes MS Langeoog 2 operates on the ferry service. This boat has been refitted with a stair lift. It is normally just used for round trips though. The ferry goes from Bensersiel port and cars are not allowed on the island. There is an elevator at the mainland ferry terminal, but it is just a service elevator. An hourly bus service connects to and from Eason's railway station. The trip takes 50 minutes, and when you arrive at the island port, there is an island railway waiting for you. The cars of this island railway are newer than in Wangerooge, and there are even cars for disabled featuring automatic doors. Because the train has got locomotives at both ends, there is no shunting. It does not operate as a push-pull service, however, as the rear locomotive is always inactive. The island railway is the only public transport on the island. The architecture turns out to be a mixture of Wangerooge and Spieker Oak. Langeoog is not as urban-like as Wangerooge, but the buildings are still bigger than in Spieker Oak. There are also more elevators than in Spieker Oak, and there is a really nice one, complete and original and with swing doors. The beach is not next to the village, but is quite a short walk to get there. The next island is the middle one, and it is the smallest one, Baltrum. The buildings are quite small too, but many of them are newer than in Spieker Oak, and there are more elevators here than there. So far I counted 6 elevators in Baltrum. To reach this island you can take a train to Northern Railway Station. The ferry company operates a tidal bus service. This bus is way better than in Wangerooge. Almost every ferry departure has got a bus connection, and there is a luggage service which allows you to leave your bags at the bus stop in Norden and get it back on the island. This is how a good tidal bus service looks like. They should learn from this at the Wangerooge service really. There were also way more passengers using the bus. The ferry to Baltrum can only operate during high tide, and there are up to 3 departures each day, which really isn't much. During winter, there is often just a single departure or 2. Cars are not allowed in Baltrum, and just like in Spieker Oak, you need to bring your own bicycle if you want to cycle around the island. Furthermore, the tidal bus doesn't allow bicycles on board, which is quite annoying. It is a long trip to Nesmersiel port if you want to cycle there. None of the ships has got an elevator, but there is one at Nesmersiel port in the restaurant building. There is no public transport on the island, but most destinations are within close range. The ferry port is situated much closer to the village rather than in Spieker Oak. The elevators are nothing special really. There is actually a nice 1970s Schindler elevator, but this one has been modernized. An island paradise should not be judged by its size, but I noticed the beach is really small and it does not continue to the western part of the island. The beach doesn't look very attractive compared to the other islands. I think the biggest advantage about Baltrum is it is quite an idyllic place and you have got more space to yourself since the amount of tourists here seems to be slightly lower. Four islands done, 3 to go, and the next island is an impressive one. It is Norderney. This place is not just a village, it is a real city. Norderney can be reached from Norddeichmole, the ferry terminal. This is also the terminus of our railway line and you can reach it by several intercity and regional trains, which is really comfortable. The ferry terminal in Norddeich used to have an elevator, but this has been abandoned. There are various ships going to Norderney, one departure every 2 hours. During the summer period, there is one departure every hour. The boats can go at any tide and there are row on row of passenger ones. Sadly, only one of them has got an elevator, which is MS Frisia 3. All other boats still lack an elevator at the end of 2016. Not even Frisia 4 has got one, despite the fact that this boat has been built in 2002. A ferry boat from that time should have an elevator. I think it's quite embarrassing there is no one. Hopefully the operating company does something about it and orders the ship to be refitted with an elevator. Norderney is a real city. Just when you arrive at the island, there are several bus lines connecting to various places. Sadly, these buses are centralized at the port, so if you just want to travel within the island, you often have to change buses at the port. Be careful. Despite the fact that the buses are pretty new, there is no such thing like an LED next stop indicator or automated announcements. Norderney features much taller buildings than on the other islands. The tallest building I have found is a block of flats with floors up to 12. That is quite impressive. The city of Norderney is complete with various tall buildings, shops, hotels and also a hospital. The hospital features an inner doorless elevator. Of course, there are also many other elevators in Norderney. The next island to visit is Juist. This is also served from Norddeichmole and it is the same company, but the ships are mostly smaller and they can only operate during high tide. The tolerance is very low, there are just up to 2 departures each day. Often there is just a single one, even during summer. During the winter period there is always just 1 departure. Therefore, there are also flights with small aircraft. These operate far more often, but they are also more expensive and the mainland airport has got bad connections to public transport. Norddeichmole has got an own terminal for the Juist ferry. Cars are not allowed. Sometimes they use a row-on-row of passenger boats, but of course without car transport. When you reach the port, you might notice all the horse carriages around. Some other islands have them too, but Juist is going crazy about that. There are horse carriages everywhere. Buses, taxis, even goods and garbage trucks are in fact horse carriages. Oh, that's impressive. On the other hand, the roads are littered with horse poo. Islanders have to clean up the roads every morning for that reason. The average architecture in Juist compares to Langeoog, however, the buildings are bigger and there are also more elevators. The most amazing elevator I have found is a complete and original Schindler from the 70s. Because the ferries operate rarely and due to the high prices of the hotels, at least compared to many other islands, Juist doesn't see so many tourists, especially compared to Norderney. This and the fact that Juist has got an absolutely beautiful long and wide beach makes it an awesome place if you can afford. There is only one island to go, Borkum. Borkum is a city, like Norderney, and cars are actually allowed on the island. However, it feels quite different compared to Norderney. Borkum is the only island served from 2 mainland ports. Actually, Borkum lies closer to the Netherlands than to Germany. There are ferry boats from Emden in Germany and from Eemshaven in the Netherlands, and there are also flights from Emden Airport operating with small aircraft. The flights do not operate as often as in Juist, as there are more ferry departures here. If you come from Germany, you must likely enter the ferry in Emden. Emden Port has got an old railway station called Emden Außenhafen. There are regional trains as well as a few intercity trains, so the Borkum ferry has got a pretty good connection to public transport. However, the ship doesn't go very often. The normal roll-on roll-off passenger boat just operates twice each day, even though they can operate at any tide. On summer Fridays and Sundays there is an extra departure. The regular ferry takes 2 hours, so if you want to go faster, you can also take the speedboat. It costs an extra fee and just takes food passengers, but it operates more often, up to 4 times each day. The other option is the ferry from Eemshaven in the Netherlands. Unlike Emden Terminal, there is no real public transport here, just a private bus operated by the ferry company. It does not operate during winter. All ships are roll-on roll-off passenger ones. There are 1 to 2 departures during winter and 4 departures each day during summer. On summer Saturdays there are up to 7 departures, which is quite a lot really. The ferry terminals do not have elevators, however the ferry from Emden to Borkum has. There is an elevator on board of MS Ostfriesland. The ships MS Münsterland and MS Westfalen just have a platform elevator. On the island there is an island railway. It is quite an impressive narrow gauge service. The island railway in Borkum has got dual tracks and 1 intermediate stop on the way to the city. Furthermore, there is a bus line, but just 1. The buildings in Borkum are not as tall as in Norderney. You can find a lot of rehabilitation hospitals in Borkum. There are very many of them. One of these hospitals has got an Inadoles elevator. There are quite a lot of elevators in Borkum. Most of them have been modernized or are new. However, I found a nice original 70s one. The beach of Borkum is pretty impressive and big. It is a very nice spot featuring a promenade with some nice cafes. Well, we're done. If you ask me which of the islands is my favorite, for me it is both Juist and Borkum. But keep in mind that I like all 7 of them and each of them is worth to spend some summer holidays. Except Borkum, I have visited each island just for a day trip to learn how much I can enjoy them as a tourist as well as an elevator filmer. And from now on, I will also start uploading the elevator videos from the islands.